Hello! I just wanted to take a quick opportunity to talk about Gridmaster before it leaves the public consciousness and I lose my ability to farm it for content. So just a couple things real quick before we get into it. One, it's fireworks season here in the UK, so if you hear loud bangs in the background, that's what that is. Don't be alarmed. And two, I want to plug something real quick. If you're looking for something to do this weekend, please go and check out my friend Stan, who's running a charity stream, Indie Impact, twitch.tv/Indie Impact. They're going to be playing a bunch of indie games, talking to the devs, giving out prizes. It's going to be really good. They're raising money for the Stonewall Community Foundation. If you know anything about me, you know I'm all about that, and I think that's really cool. So if you need anything to do, Saturday or Sunday this week, as this video goes out, go and give it a look. Thank you very much. So I wanted to talk about Gridmaster. First of all, Gridmaster was great. I know some of the topics on the channel recently have been a bit of a downer, but it's nice to talk about something positive for a change. And playing Gridmaster really reminded me, once again, why I love this game. I do love this game. I love RuneScape. I love the people I play it with. So, as you can see here, in my peak performance gear, this is what it looks like. I was able to finish the grid, as a lot of people were. And that's great, because one of the things going into it that I was really worried about, that it was that it wasn't going to be very accessible to people who weren't, really good at PvM, especially when I saw things like, the woke bosses and 30-minute Inferno. But the way the grid lines up, there's actually a pretty good cheese strat for most of this stuff, with, last stand or spamming specs on the Kopesh. So it is actually a lot easier to finish than you would first think. But there's still plenty of space for skill expression. Plenty of people were able to, rush it really quickly. And I just think that's really cool. I love it when something's accessible to everyone and everyone has a chance to complete it. I think a lot of the people who think they couldn't really aren't giving themselves enough credit. With the right planning, the right cheese strats, the right, a bit of patience and dedication, I think almost everyone who plays RuneScape a reasonable amount could finish this grid. And that's amazing. I love that. When I first saw it pitched, I wasn't that excited for it. It was like, oh, it's a bingo. That's kind of cool. I've never done a clan bingo at all. Just never really been something I'm into. I like to take things at my own pace. I like to, do whatever, whenever. But when I found out that this was going to be a sort of mini league, I got a lot more interest in it. And I ended up really liking it. I liked it a lot. It reminded me a lot of why I love this game. And, that's what it's all about, isn't it? So I've showed you my amazing loadout. I'm going to switch over to the main game and train some agility while I'm talking, because I've got to get those gains in and we can't have any XP waste on this channel now, can we? Also gives you something to look at while I'm rambling on here. Here we go. Let's do some agility. So, takeaways from Gridmaster. First thing that I thought was really great. I love how this shows that limited time game modes really don't have to just be Trailblazer over and over again. Like, we don't always have to do region locking and 7 relics, or is it 8? I forget. And, tasks and blah, blah, blah. Like, the big task list. You could do it differently. And I think that's great. It really, really shows that we do not have to lock ourselves to the same league's formula for all of eternity. That is great. There is so much more unexplored space in the, the limited time game mode space. And I think that's great. It gets me really excited for the future. How many more events like this can we come up with? There's definitely room for a hell of a lot more, and that's really cool. So I'm really looking forward to what they come up with next. I really liked how it had a completely sort of different feel to your regular league is about like a 3-month marathon. Obviously a lot faster than regular RuneScape, but still pretty long if you want to get to dragon rank and stuff, especially for me who's not particularly efficient. But this was much more condensed, and it's more like a puzzle. When you're doing your regular league, the task list is so long. The order you do them in doesn't really matter. Whereas in this, because each individual task is giving you quite a massive upgrade, the order you do them in really matters. There's a lot of rewards there to sit down and take a minute and figure out, okay, I want to do this first. If I do this, it makes this task easier. That was really cool. It really did feel like solving a puzzle, which is kind of a brand new experience for RuneScape, and I just thought that was really cool. So, and as always, there's multiple different ways you can go through it. Some people will find some content easier than others. If you're really good, you can go and do like the harder PvM stuff first and use those bonuses to, boost yourself through the other stuff. That was really cool. So yeah, really amazing on that. I really liked how there was basically no grinding involved. With the exception of a handful of tasks, which we'll come back to, most of the tasks required basically no grinding. It was just do this one thing or get to this one level and you're done. You still had to train levels and stats a bit, but nowhere near as much as a regular league. Because, regular league has tasks like do this one thing 500 times. And, you're doing it faster than normal, and RuneScape is a grindy game. you need to have a bit of that. But the Gridmaster just didn't need that, and that's just a really nice change of pace from what we're used to in regular old RuneScape. Just like small things here and there that it really shows that they thought about what they were doing. Like, for example, when you get your rare weapon voucher, like your T-bow, your shadow, your scythe, it came with like 10,000 free charges or dragon arrows. Like, genius move, so you don't get the cool item and then have to go and figure out how you're gonna stock up on the ammo for it. They just give you it straight away because you could use it straight away. Excellent choice. Really shows that they were actually thinking about the play experience, the flow, how it's all gonna come together. Really good move there. Well done, JMods. As with basically any limited time mode, it always gives me a really nice appreciation, especially this time around, for a lot of the new low-level content that they've added. Because obviously, Iron Mine, by the way, but I'm almost maxed. Not in sailing, though. I'm almost maxed. I haven't, there's added all this new content, especially things like Farlamore. There's all this new low-level stuff. I haven't touched the early game in, years. Because, I blazed past it years ago. I don't need to do that anymore. But when you, start from the beginning again, it's interesting to see it all again. You've got two sides of it. You've got like, oh, I'm repeating the nostalgic grinds. Oh, I'm chopping oak trees in Lumbridge. Oh, I'm fishing shrimp in Lumbridge. Oh, I'm mining copper in Lumbridge. That stuff's all fun as well. But also just like all the new stuff, all the Varlamore stuff, getting to see like the fletching activity with the Ents. That was cool. I haven't actually seen that before because I'm maxed in fletching. I'll go back for a coal log slot at some point, but it's not something I've got any need to go to at the minute. So yeah, getting to see all that low-level content, giving me, a high-level player, a chance to actually experience that low-level content in its full glory. That's really cool. Just one of those little cool things that comes about from these limited time modes. But one of my biggest takeaways from the league, which isn't really about the league itself, but just about players in general, it's just the massive variety in the different ways that people play this game. I think it's something that a trap that a lot of us fall into, is that we play the game a specific way, and we just kind of assume that everyone else does as well. Like, for me, PVM is kind of one of the major drives of this game. I do, I do all my skilling as well, but finishing skilling is kind of, for me, has always been a way of getting yourself to the actual content, of bosses and drops and collection logs and so on. But seeing everyone talk about the Gridmaster event, online and stuff, really shows just how different it is for each individual person. Like, for a lot of people, the concept of having to do a bunch of PVM was just a massive turn-off for them because they're just not interested in PVM at all, which seems crazy to me because, like, PVM to me is like, core part of the game. How could you play the game without it? But the RuneScape does have a lot more than PVM. It's not just PVM. Skilling is, for a lot of people, like the primary part of the game, and that's really interesting to see. There really is a diverse player base in this game. And it is a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I just think that's cool. Also interesting to see just how different people attempted the grid. For me, at the beginning, I spoke about, my order, the ones that are hardest and stuff. And I expected everyone to go through the grid in the same order. But, different people find different things difficult. So, like, the order that people went through the grid was really different between different people. And, seeing people post on social media as they progress through it. So for me, obviously, like I said, the Awakened bosses were the hardest. But for a lot of people, it was Sepulchre, which I found quite surprising. Fifth floor of Sepulchre is something that's, it's fairly challenging. Floors 1 to 4 are obviously far easier, and so floor 5 is a big spike in difficulty. It's something I've only really just started to get the hang of myself in the main game. Finishing it fast enough to actually get the reward. But in the league, in the grid, you actually only just needed to finish it. You didn't even need to finish it on time. Which I think a lot of people didn't realise, which made it seem more difficult than it needed to be, but I'm going on a tangent. But yes, so many people who were doing really well at PVM were having trouble with Sepulchre, which to me seems easier than a lot of the PVM they were doing. But, it's all relative to what people are used to. I just thought that was really interesting. Just seeing, one person's easy content is another person's nightmare. A lot of people don't like Sepulchre. I think it's great content, but that's just me. I don't know, just seeing different people's Gridmaster journey was kind of eye-opening. I think that's really cool. It also just, so on that level, that's one aspect. But also just the wide range of skill levels of people in this game. Like, so for some people, they're only just finishing their grid now, and, the event's going to be over in a week. Some people finished it in, 2 days for the first time, and then they went back and speed ran it and finished it in, 7 hours, which is absolutely obscene. Like, some people could be absolutely cracked at this game. RuneScape is one of those games you don't think it has a skill ceiling. It's just, click on shit, watch movies on the side. But no, there is actual skill to this game. There is like real mechanical and knowledge-based skill in RuneScape playing. And I just think that's kind of incredible. It's not the sort of game you'd expect to have that, but yeah, it really does have it. And so yeah, overall, Gridmaster, really, really good. I'm not going to get into the negative section, but don't let this be a downer. Gridmaster was great and I really did enjoy it. So let's talk about some of the less good things. No matter how you finish it, you won't get to use all of your unlocks. This is something that a lot of people brought up. I'm not breaking any new ground here. For me, it was the dog sword and the battle hat because of the order I finished things in. But no matter which order you do it in, there's going to be some row or column or tile that you're going to finish last, and then you're going to have nothing to do with it. Like, I never got to use my dog sword or battle hat. Like, I could go and, play with it in some content, but like, there's no reason to. I finished the grid. There's no benefit. There's no reward for going and doing that. By the time you actually get all the good stuff, the grid is over, and that's a bit lame. It feels like it needed just like one extra challenge at the end, like some extra bosses to fight for some last reward, or like an extra hard, mini grid. Imagine if there was like a 3x3 super hard grid for the super dedicated players to have a go at, something like that. I just feels like it needs something at the end to really test out your abilities and really give all that cool, overpowered gear that you've just earned a real, chance to shine. Because currently you get near the end, you get the last cool thing, and then you never get to use it. I wanted a chance to use the dog sword. That's all. Going dry still sucks. This is something I will never stop complaining about. Going dry in the main game sucks already. Going dry in a limited time mode sucks even more. Now, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't anywhere like regular leagues are worse for this, and this wasn't anywhere near as bad. But like, why are there RNG tasks on the list? Like, most of the grid had no RNG. So, for example, Cowfight Queen was just kill her once, not get a drop, not do a specific thing that requires luck. No, just kill her once with anything, anytime. It's great. And then you get a blowpipe, which means that you can go and kill Zulrah. And the task for Zulrah is kill Zulrah with a blowpipe. And that's perfect because it's guaranteed. You don't have to wait and hope and get lucky to get the blowpipe from Zulrah. Excellent. And yeah, but drops are boosted, but you can still go dry. Even if you boost 8 times and something is now 1 in 50, it might still take you 100 kills. And that just feels lame. For me, I went dry on Vorkath head. I needed to go, for the Vorkath drop, I needed to go all the way to the 50 kills to get it. And that just felt lame. And the same for the Araxor one. I needed a rare drop from Araxor. It took me a lot longer than it felt like it should. I don't know how the people who are doing speedruns deal with that. Like, if you just get bad luck, your speedrun just dies. Like, that's super lame. I don't know how they deal with that. I guess they just make more accounts, but that just sounds not fun to me. Anyway, I would really like if in these limited time modes, at least, we just have either bad luck mitigation or just make all the tasks not RNG. Like the Araxor task. Instead of making it be a drop, make it kill it for 25 times or something, Just, there's no need to have RNG basis in limited time modes. Like, it's a limited time mode. Let's not waste people's time. I think most of us can agree on that. I said earlier that the grid was surprisingly accessible, and I do stand by that. I think most of the people who are struggling with it just need to give themselves a bit more credit, a bit more patience, have a few more goes at it, and a lot of people who think they can't do it really can, because I'm one of these people who often is quite defeatist with themselves and doesn't think they could do something until I do it, and then it's like, oh, okay, this is doable. But there is a question of difficulty. There are going to be some players who maybe do lack the mechanical skill, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way. It is absolutely fine if you're not that great at the game. This doesn't make you any less of a real player. But some people are going to struggle to do some of these tasks, like Colosseum, the Woke bosses, stuff like that. I struggle with the Woke Whisperer a lot, and I can see a lot of players giving up at that point. And so it really does come down to sort of a game design philosophy question, and I'm not going to tell you which side is right or wrong. Should all players be able to finish the grid? Now, the grid rewards were balanced such that you didn't actually have to finish the grid to buy all the rewards, as far as I'm aware, if I've calculated it correctly. I will double check and put a note in the video when I edit that to make sure if that's true. But finishing the grid is, a reasonable goal that most people are going to want to do. And I think there's a question to be asked. Should everyone be able to finish it, regardless of skill level? I don't know what the correct answer is there. There's pros and cons for each side. If I had to give an answer, I would prefer if everyone could finish the grid. I'm on that side. However, I understand that there are some sacrifices that end up being made if you want that to always be true. So I could be convinced either way. I do think it's good that high skill players have the ability to flex their skills, show their dedication, and be rewarded for the time and effort they've put into this game. I personally don't think that needs to be expressed as being able to finish the grid, but rather their speed and efficiency with finishing it. You know, a good player can finish it in 8 hours. Whereas a weaker player might take, 3 weeks to do it, and both are absolutely fine. But, I'm willing to discuss on that one. So if anyone has any other thoughts, then, hey, this is where I say comment, get them engagement up. Now, should I say the word subscribe 3 times so that the button lights up? Subscribe. Like. Is the button lighting up? Is the button lighting up? Light up. Like. Anyway, next point, rewards. I thought they were a little bit underwhelming. They just felt a bit rushed and thrown together. We've got like 3 color variations of the same outfit. The outfit's cool. It's just 2 pieces, like a backpack with swords and a shirt thing. I'll put a picture of it here. It's nice. I don't know. Well, I'll probably use it in some fashionscape at some point. It's pretty simple. And then there's like a couple of graphic kits. What's the word? Cosmetic overrides for a couple things, which are fine. But yeah, I don't know. It just feels a bit lackluster. It really does feel like a lot of Gridmaster was sort of thrown together at the last minute, which is a bit of a shame, but hey ho, what can you do? It's not a huge deal breaker. The fun of the event really is about playing the event and not the reward. So, I think it's absolutely fine. Just something I wanted to mention. But I do have a bigger bone to pick with this, which was who the heck was in charge of scheduling these things? Like, why did the Gridmaster event have to coincide with the RS3 League? That feels really unfair to the Catalyst League. The RS3 League was a great chance for a bunch of OSRS players to give RS3 a chance. Including me, I was there. But then when Gridmaster came along, it just doesn't stand a chance. Like the player count was dropping already, but by the time Gridmaster came along, that was it. It was dead in the water because no OSRS player is going to play RS3 over an OSRS limited time event. Just seems like a massive schedule conflict there. I don't really know what they were thinking. Like, just do the Gridmaster later. I guess I know that they've got a lot on their plate in the minute with sailing and stuff, but I don't know, it just feels like a bit of a blunder there. And it seems kind of unfair to RS3. Like, we really want to give RS3 a better chance, and then they go and pull that. I don't know, it just seems a bit unfair. There's no way that RS3 is going to be able to compete with that. So yeah, there really should only be one limited time mode going on at a time across both games, just to give them the best chance to actually, get the players they deserve. And the last thing I wanted to mention was Project Xanaris. Playing this Gridmaster event really made me mourn the loss of Project Xanaris again. I know that the real Project Xanaris probably didn't have that many things you could toggle and shit, but the idea of a Project Xanaris where we could make Gridmaster style events all the time, there could be one of these running all the time, all year if we really wanted it, but just much more often than what Jadix is capable of putting out. And it just made me so sad once again that we lost Project Xanaris. I know it's a controversial topic. I know some people really like it, some people really didn't. I was definitely a Xanaris believer, and I still am. I really hope it comes back someday. But yeah, just playing Gridmaster really made me wish that we still had Xanaris on the horizon, because we could make our own Gridmasters all the time, and wouldn't that be swell? Anyway, so that is everything on my list, and I've been talking for too long already, so I will cut a load of this out, throw it together in a video, and put it in front for your amusement. How about that? Go click the buttons to make the numbers go up if you want, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day or evening or whatever time of day you end up watching this. And that's all I've got, so peace!